Hey guys, welcome to Hip Hughes History. I'm in my hoodie, so we're going to talk a little bit more about current events, taking a look at Putin, Russia, what's going on in their heads in relationship to the Ukraine, and maybe taking a look at the worst possible situation, which is World War III. And I don't think that's going to happen, but I think we should always be a little bit ahead of the curveball. So stick around for that. But let's talk about what's going on right now. All right, the reason that I'm thinking this way in terms of why Putin might be moving forward in terms of a war scenario is he has 30,000 troops on the border of eastern Ukraine. That's a lot of troops. I don't know if he's flexing muscle, but we all know he took Crimea, so the fear is that there is a large Russian-speaking population in eastern Ukraine, in that industrial sector, those people that really, an aging population that grew up in the Soviet Union, that have strong national ties with the Russians. And I think that it was very indicative of Putin's mind when he was giving a speech today in the Russian parliament, and he started talking about Ruski. And in previous speeches, he had talked about Rossiyski. My Russian is terrible, but I'm pretty sure that Rossiyski is talking about the Russian state, what the country as a government's going to do. But when he starts talking Ruski, he's talking about the Russian people. He's talking as an ethnic nationalist. And there is a lot of Russian-speaking people, whether you're talking about Moldova or Kakistan, Lithuania, Latvia, and especially in the Ukraine. So if he has his eyes on that, and he's been aligning with other ethnic nationalisms and the Orthodox Church, and he's using this type of language, we probably have to figure that he's interested in taking this land. So what does the United States do? What does NATO do? And I think that if we take a look at maybe the worst possible situation, there is, I think, a pathway to war, but hopefully lots of ways around it. I think it's important to understand why Putin is thinking this way, why he has the backing of a majority of Russians. And you have to remember, at the end of the Cold War, I think that the United States was kind of holding up this kind of image that if you weren't communist, you were going to have this kind of capitalistic economic dream that would occur. And what happened in Russia was quite the opposite. They have economic recession and high unemployment. And I think a lot of Russians that are nationalistic, they might forget some of the negativities of being in the Soviet Union, right, with like the KGB and civil rights and things like that. They're thinking, and I think the motto was, I heard this on NPR today, was we pretended to work and you pretended to pay us. But everybody had a job, everybody got a vacation, everybody was secure, and now they're insecure. So this idea of a return to, being, a superpower. I mean, think about how humiliated you'd be as a people if you were a superpower and now, people are treating you like a developing country. And Putin is saying, look, we're not like that. We have pride. We have a veto, on the UN. We have, what's those things called? Nuclear weapons. So what are you going to do? Let's start expanding. Let's take care of ourselves domestically and stop worrying about being part of some kind of interdependent economic world like, the World Bank or something like that. I think Putin has put his lot in terms of being a strong leader and being an ethnic nationalist. And that might be a problem for the rest of the world. All right, so here's the fear, right? What happens if he invades Ukraine and he goes as far as, say, Moldova, which is kind of more towards western southern Ukraine, which is near the Crimea. We all know he took the Crimea, he used military force to do that. But when we start getting into those areas, we start getting into really different clashing ethnic populations. You have a Polish, Romanian kind of empire that kind of existed over there for a long time. So let's say that in Ukraine you start getting insurgency groups like Ukrainian nationalists. So if these Ukrainian national groups start, like, saying, attacking Russian forces and start getting into some kind of like civil war scenario, let's say the Polish government decides, well, we want to aid these Ukrainians. That's not out of the realm of possibility, considering that they share history. And if they do that, now you have NATO's hand in that conflict. And let's say the Russians, I don't know, launch an artillery fire and hit, a Polish unit. Suddenly you have Russians attacking NATO, and then of course the NATO philosophy, once you're in, baby, then it's all for one and one for all. Boo. I don't want to scare you, but seriously, you should be following this story because history is the now, right? I'm watching the news and I'm thinking I'm going to watch the now, and I'm watching Justin Bieber in jail. and then I just want to, like, you know, take a nap. All right, guys, there you go. Check out all the videos. Click my face, guys. You'll shoot over to Hip Use History, and you should subscribe because it's paying it forward. It's the right thing to do to grow your brain, and where attention goes, energy flows. And we'll see you next time when you're ready to do a little bit of the learning on the YouTube.